All right, everybody, welcome to another episode of the Vamily Show, the very awesome Family Show, Season 3, episode number, let's say 8 this time because the last 8 didn't work, but this 8 will work. We're working really good this time. And with me today, I have Jennifer Filzen, and she wrote a book to give to get. And I kind of wanted to talk to you about that. I went into, I think I was in the 3rd or 4th chapter, and I was like, I'm going to save the rest of it to read because I need to learn about the marketing stuff. But you call it rockstar marketing. And I went back and looked on your channel, and one of your first videos was a music video. And I watched the one that Love is Like Fire. And then I think Communication Breakdown was probably the first one there on your channel, and that was in 2007. So I kind of want to know how it is coming back and posting stuff now compared to 2007, because I wasn't posting on 2007, so that must have been like a completely different interface than what there is now.
Oh my gosh. Okay, are you ready for a story?
Yeah,
all right,
I'm always ready for stories. I love stories.
Yeah, stories are good, right? Storytelling is the best marketing, by the way. So whenever you convey your message through stories, people remember it, and it's an easier way to pluck at the heartstrings of your audience. But anyway, okay, so it's 2007. I'm marketing director for a construction company. I'm also going through the recoils of a divorce. And for the first time, I'm writing music and wanting to express myself. And I have been vocally trained. I've been singing my whole life, but I pretty much needed to have other musicians to put an album together. So 2007 was a very changing year for me. I'm freshly divorced and I have so much to express. And I'm creating an album, my very first album. But then I'm also doing marketing for this construction company. Now, the Great Recession was just starting, and we're looking for new ways to market the construction company. And that is through this new thing called MySpace, which was a pioneering
I remember those days.
Social media platform. And these brand new platforms that had just been released to the public called Facebook and Twitter. And so I started using those 3 platforms to promote the construction company I was working for. But then also, too, I knew as a musician, I could spend all this money on creating an album, making music videos, trying to make it fly. I could either try to just show off to friends and family, hey, look at what I'm capable of, or just try to take it commercial and make it pay for itself. Well, here's the punchline. I invested $60,000 of my money, and I made a whopping $1,400 back in a 5-year period. It was awful, Bob. It was absolutely. If you look at return on investment, it was awful.
But my question more is, were you loving doing it though? So yes. So the money might not have been there, but were you loving doing it?
I was loving throwing that money into the money pit of no return. And I was feeling like a loser. Because honestly, after 5 years of spending 60 grand on 2 albums, the promotion of it, music videos, I mean, it is not easy nor cheap to try to get your music heard. Right. Now, obviously, we have a different, you asked about how is it different from 2007 to 2021. Well, a huge difference, right? Obviously, it is more accessible. You can get your music heard on more channels, but there's also more competition. So back in 2007, when my first album dropped, in 2009, when my second album dropped, Facebook and Twitter and MySpace were not overrun. I could just devote 15 minutes a day to it and get the contacts and the likes and follows equivalents of what we have now. Now you have to have 1 million followers. You know, you have it's higher. So it's the same concept, but I was a pioneer in something new. And now it is more commoditized and more commercialized. And so the struggle remains. But what was so cool, Bob, was that because of these new things, social media platforms, I was able to promote my music without a record label, without an agent. I was truly entering a new pioneer stage, you know, a new territory, right? And
And you were
and
Grammy eligible too, from what I read too.
yes, I qualified
You're
for
eligible.
Grammys, and I didn't know what I was doing. I mean, I honestly had no idea how the whole thing was working. So pretty much my guitarist said, "Hey, I know somebody who's part of the membership that would be allowing to submit for Grammys. Can we submit for the Grammys?" I'm like, "Sure, whatever." I had no idea. And so he went ahead and he submitted it, and how it got through the channels. It was such a mystery. Like, just making music was new to me. Like, I'd been performing, but like I hadn't like gone through the whole, like, here's a booth and here's how to record your music and here's the layering of the music. It was just such a new world. And so when he's like, "Can I do this?" I'm like, "Sure," as if anything was going to happen. And then months later, he's like, "Are you sitting down?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I'm sitting down. What's going on?" He goes, "We qualified for 10 Grammy nominations." And I was like, "Huh?" And it was like, "What? Did I get struck by lightning? Does this mean I'm going to be rich?" Like, I had no idea, right? Well, now I know, but I really didn't know. And I thought
Nope.
that Grammy qualified meant Grammy nominated. So like, I genuinely did not know what I didn't know. And Bob, I'm running around going, "I'm a Grammy nominated person." Well, it turns out that you're not allowed to say that you're Grammy nominated unless you hit the top 5. So there's Grammy qualified. So think of it like a contest. And again, it was so naive. I had no idea. And as a marketer, of course, it's in my DNA. I can't help but tell the world what's going on. I'm like, "Yay!"
Right.
You know. So anyway, I got the cease and desist letter from the lawyers of the Grammys going, "No, honey, you're not Grammy nominated. You're Grammy qualified. You can say Grammy." I'm like, oh, so sorry. Like, I didn't.
I'll still say Grammy qualified. That's pretty cool to me.
Still,
I
yeah.
would say it.
But I was mortified that I was like labeling it wrong, and I was like, I'm big on integrity. And so when it's like, you've been misrepresenting yourself, I'm like, oh, you know, like that was not the intent. It was more like, oh my God, because I didn't know. Like, you just don't know. It's like a big old like.
Right.
But what I did do after I got the first one was like, can I reproduce this? Like, was I struck by lightning, or is this reproducible? So I did the second album, went through the same thing. Yeah, we qualified for 8 Grammy nominations on the second album. Like, it's marketing. It's all about marketing. Because honestly, Bob, if you and any of your listeners watch my music and listen to it and see my music videos, I'm really not that good, but I'm a damn good marketer. And I built a really successful marketing agency off of those street creds that I developed.
Right. And that's where you get the name Rockstar Marketing from, is from that. But I think it was in your book, and I read that you over, I guess, in India, it was, or
I'm big in India.
they
I
used
know.
a sample or something of it.
Yeah.
He's a sample of it for a rapper, and so that's kind of cool to think that over there in India they're jamming out to one of your songs.
Yes, I know. It's so cool. So yeah, Bohemia and I had the same producer. And so Bohemia was like, "Hey Jen, I really like this track. Can I borrow it and remix it?" I'm like, "Okay." You know, nothing ventured, nothing gained, right? In fact, you know what's really kind of funny,
Right.
Bob? I just had an epiphany. That was like the beginning of the give to get principle when you really think about it. Like when someone asks you, "Hey, can I do something with it?" And I'm like, "Sure, why not?" And I just kind of, you know, we did share royalties off of it. So like, you know, there's like legal things like, okay, this is my property and I'm going to let you have fun with it. But yeah, have fun with it. Like, why not? Right. That's how Snoop Dogg has done so well for himself and known as the Godfather, because he would give other rappers coming up underneath him a chance and he would be part of it. So if it did go forward, then he would be profiting off of, you know, his help. But like, you know, in fact, by the way, Bohemia did work with Snoop Dogg. So there's a whole lots of like, you know, little fun interconnections. But yeah, it's like, I just realized, yeah, sometimes you just say, sure, go ahead, and you give, and then you end up becoming a hit in India, or you get that royalty check from that one hit wonder. Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah, and I look on my podcast analytics, and I see like different countries like Russia and Israel and Spain and all these countries, and I'm like, I'm surprised, but then I'm like, it's kind of shocking that maybe there's some taxi driver in Russia that likes to listen to my podcast, and he's listening to Bob's podcast, and it's cool. Like hey, if there is a taxi driver out there in Russia listening to this, and I ever come there, hit me up, man. I'd like to meet you, because that's pretty cool.
That is so true.
But you
so
do
true.
a lot of marketing for auto repair stuff.
I do.
And I used to work for Sears Auto Center and a couple of different auto shops. I did tires, and I did I was a lube tech for a while, so I know about all that kind of stuff. And I was reading your book about I think it was, if I get it wrong, I'm sorry, but I think it was Ernie's in Olympia, and deals with RVs. And there's a lot of RV people that watch my channel, and so and I also read about a person in Colorado, and they just had that shooting there. And so I'm praying for everybody that they're all, everybody's all right out there, but that he wanted to run his business for service for his church, and I volunteer for my church. And so one of the principles I took from my church is giving away, before you even take from your business, give away part of it. And so 20% of mine goes to the National Suicide Prevention Lifeline, just right off the top of the channel. So whatever the channel makes, and it's not much right now, but that's still, I'm giving that back right out the door, because if God didn't want me to be doing this, and God didn't keep me alive to this point, then I wouldn't even have this opportunity anyway. And so that's the way
you are wonderful. Yeah, you are wonderful. You're living it, and you're absolutely right. We are all driven by some bigger thing than us, and it defines our why, doesn't it? Mm-hmm. And so I love the fact that you are actively taking a role in making the world a better place by helping people who are just at the end of their rope, seeing that there's more to life, and no, don't give it up. There's so much to live for.
And even if it's bleak right now, that doesn't mean it has to be bleak the rest of your life. You can get back up and try again.
Exactly.
And, and that's one of the things you put in there, is knowing your why in the book. And I also kind of got a kick out of, you put for 2020 the song of "I Will Survive." And so did you kind of jam out to that when you were, like, any job that you got last year was, I'm gonna put on some Gloria Gaynor, and I will survive it till I get to the next one.
Oh my gosh, it's so true. It is. In fact, I'm reading a really great book. It's Mindset by Carol Dweck, and she talks about fixed mindset versus growth mindset. And interestingly enough, when people are of the fixed mindset, they think, well, this is it. This is all the talent I have. This is all I can do. I have nothing else. There's no point in pursuing anything. And she revealed in her book that a lot of that fixed mindset of there's nothing else, and this is all I've got, is what also contributes to the suicides. So if you can take the people that are feeling down and out and give them a growth mindset of, hey, this is just a phase. This is a gift wrapped in sandpaper. The mind, the body can work and heal and become better and shift and change and dodge. I mean, look at how we as human beings, as we grow up, we change, right? We get taller, we get bigger, we become more sophisticated, we become more educated. That's just experience. And so if you just embrace those changes, then things will get better, right? It's just neat to see that, if you keep investing in yourself, if you keep investing in growing, changing, always pursuing something new and exciting, then you're going to become a better person. In fact, can you see here over my shoulder? Can you see my drum and my bass guitar? Can you see that? Okay, yes, I got a little confession to make. I have a confession to make, Bob.
Okay.
I gave up my music, because I've had this love-hate relationship with my music, believe it or not, off and on my entire life. I was naturally gifted at it. And And then I couldn't handle some of the self-criticism that I was giving myself. And then I got a scholarship to college. And then again, the competition and everything just made me pull away from it. And then I go through my divorce, and then I get into it again, and I go full bore. I spend all this money. I make so tiny little money back. I get out of it. Well, thanks to COVID, this drum and this bass guitar are literally a week old to me. I have picked up the drums again.
Nice.
And I'm picking up bass guitar for the first time. So I'm literally like 5 days into learning how to play bass, and I'm having so much fun. But
yeah, bass is pretty fun to play. I play guitar, and I want to tell you, like, the getting in and out of it thing. This show I've taken a break from, and it was in due in part to a lot of worry about getting guests, but then also a self-criticism thing of I'm not getting anywhere with it. It doesn't seem like I'm not getting any views and stuff like that. And then just recently I had the chance to really take a look at it and go, no, I like doing this. I enjoy doing it. It doesn't matter if nobody shows up. And then I actually went and looked at, my analytics and stuff like that, and started seeing that there were people from all over the world. And I'm like, why aren't you doing this? Like, that doesn't make sense. And then, when we were talking a little bit before you came on, when you're saying you watch my stuff and all that kind of stuff, and you think it's cool. And then I had somebody else watch it, and they're all stoked on it. And it's like, I get it now. It's just not happening yet, but it's going to happen. Like, if people are interested in it, it's going to happen. And so the point is to keep at it.
Oh my gosh. So true, Bob. So true. Consistency and persistency. Again, like, okay, so I spend 5 years doing my music. I create these 2 albums. I do all this stuff. I sink all this $60,000 in it. I get $1,400 back. Horrible return on investment. But
Right.
yeah, I thought, honestly, for 5 years, I was like, I am such a loser. But what I didn't realize, and pardon the pun of the 2020 hindsight, we all have to have that pun with 2020 hindsight, right?
I like that one. I like that one.
I would not be the success that I am had I not ventured into conquering that challenge and going for that big dream. And I may not be a recognizable, rock star to anybody outside of, my inner circle and this podcast and India.
Yeah, and India, I was going to say.
But
there's a lot of people there. We don't want to forget about them.
No, there's a lot of them, and it's really cool. But what's really hilarious, okay, so the marketing for me over there is genius to them, but it's horrible for me. Listen to this. So when you pull up on YouTube and you look for Bohemia, the Punjabi gangster rapper, and the song What Have I Learned? Okay, it's marketed as Bohemia and Jennifer F. Now, over in India, Jennifer F. sounds like such an exotic name. But here
Wow.
in the Western culture, Jennifer F. could be anybody.
Yeah. Yeah.
So marketing wise, I am not unique in the way they did it. I'm not upset by it. And also too, because of Bohemia, I sang backup vocals on a Bollywood film, which is another fun little thing. I got to sing on
that's really cool.
Yeah, it's like but again, it's like nothing ventured, nothing gained. And just when you think that you have hit rock bottom, guess what? There are so much more. And you're right. Like, how many times have we as human beings, God, I know that I've like, I just have to quit this. I'm so done. But then there's a part of me that's like, well, okay, I might be done for now. I need to take a little break, but I'm going to come back to this, and yeah, the things that challenge us, the things that make us want to tear our hair out also make us better as human beings. And what is that phrase? When you're making a sword and you want the metal to be stronger, to be able to stand up as a weapon, you need to put it under fire. Well, you get tougher the more fire you are put under. And it's a gift wrapped in sandpaper. It's not pleasant, but it's a gift still. Right.
And when you hit rock bottom, there's nowhere to go but up. So if you are at rock bottom, if you just get up, you're going to be a little bit better than you were before. And I was reading in your book, and the book again is to give to get, and
The give
that's
to
a
get
principle that you go
principle.
by. Yeah,
Yeah. And
and
it's even a bestseller on Amazon. Can you believe it? That's so cool. I'm so excited. Anyway, I'm sorry.
and hey, and you can put that on there, and the Amazon's not going to get mad at you like the Grammy people
Right.
either. So that's
Yeah,
good too.
it's true.
Um, I was gonna say in the book there you talk about a time in your marketing where you had a job and the person wanted to find a way to get you fired because you were too good to be working there, and so did that make you? I mean, probably one way you're like, well, they don't even want me at a regular job. What am I going to do? But is it looking back almost a good thing that they did that so you can realize that you actually are good at what you do?
Oh my gosh, I love that that story resonated with you. Okay, so for your listeners, let me tell the story a little bit. So I had owned Rockstar Marketing for several years. Let's see, this is like 2014. So I had been doing business for 5 years, and 5 years is usually a milestone that most small businesses reach. Like if you're still around, like that's a big deal, right? Because a lot of businesses fail in the first year. But like after 5 years, I was like, you know what? I feel like I'm pushing water uphill, Bob. I'm like, I was just so like, okay, fine. And there's a big hotel chain here in Monterey, California, and I decided to go get a job there because I figured, well, maybe I'm not going to make this as a marketer. Maybe I should just work for somebody else. And I'm sure that we've all gone through times where we felt defeated. So I worked for 6 months at this particular hotel chain, and it was fun, but it was crappy money, and it was like I wasn't much better off than what I
Right.
was when I was doing my own business. And but I had made a friend with a guy that came into town every single week for a business project, Roger Chernow. He's still a good friend today. He's in Tallahassee, Florida, and he would fly out every week, and we would hang out. And he's like, Jen, I got to make sure that you understand something. They don't serve fine china in McDonald's. What are you doing here? I'm going to get you fired because you need to stop focusing on this piddly job, and you need to devote your time to your marketing agency and take off with spreading your wings and flying. Like he was such a cheerleader, and I'm like, but I'm scared and I got bills to pay and I'm not making it and blah, blah. He's like, you're not making it because you're not devoting 100% of your time to it. That's why you're not making it. So I'm going to get you fired. And it was hilarious, Bob, because he didn't physically get me fired, but like he planted the seed of
Right.
maybe I really am worthy. And you know what? Let me tell you something. If anything that I've learned is that your net worth is a reflection of your self-worth. So
Yeah.
when you realize that, yes, you are worthy, that hard work that you put in, that consistency, that persistence, that constant dogged determination of I'm not going to quit, you're going to look back and go, I did it and I am worthy. And then guess what? Your net worth really starts jumping up. So yeah, we went from being me barely making it, and I don't mind sharing this. Today, we are grossing. Now, I don't get to keep all this money, but we're grossing
Right.
$318,000 is what we grossed at the end of 2020. Now,
Wow.
for a business to do that and to sustain and be okay during COVID, I'm pretty proud of that.
Yeah, that's pretty good. Yeah, that's pretty
Yeah,
good.
and
And I
and
was
I'm
gonna say your channel, you kind of talk to people on there as well, and you talk about in there dealing with champion level small businesses, which I thought was really cool. And your channel where you have interviews on there as well. I put the link in the chat, and I saw that I subscribed earlier, but I saw that you were almost at 100. And so if we can get you to 100 today, then you can get your custom URL, and so you can make it /Jennifer F if you want to, for the people in India or whatever you want to do. But once you get to 100, you can do that. And so hopefully we'll get you to 100 today, because there's 6 people here in the chat. We've got Justin and Christina's RV Van Life, Linda M. We got Jerry Gallion over on Facebook, Weekend RVing.
I'm so honored. You
And
guys, in fact,
and Arizona.
well, you know what's really cool?
We got some people in here too.
Your words to God's ear. Listen to this. On my screen, I see that I have a new subscriber. The Reef Robber just subscribed to my channel. I love you. Thank you. Look at you. You're so powerful.
He's here in the chat. I put you at 100.
Oh my gosh, you guys are amazing. Thank you so much. Oh my gosh, I didn't even realize the chat was going on. Let me where's the chat?
under comments.
Oh, there it is. Hi everybody.
There you go. So yeah, you can keep an eye on there, and yeah.
Oh my gosh, you guys are amazing. Thank you so much. Oh wow, you really do. Forgive me. I'm so focused on talking with you. Now, guess what, Bob? We have to have you on my show, Connecting with Jennifer Filzen. We're gonna have so much fun. Let's have some fun. See, okay, isn't this fun? Your show has been around for a while, but for like me, Connecting with Jennifer Filzen, I started it during COVID because, of course, we're all isolated. We're in lockdown. I mean, here in Monterey, California, we just opened up on St. Patrick's Day last week from the purple tier, which means that now we can go inside restaurants. They've been closed to the public. You know, you can do takeout, but it's been since July of 2020, Bob. Like, talk about isolation out here. Like, it's happening, right? A lot of other states, they're able to go. They're like, yeah, let's go on a road trip. Let's do this. Do you know, honey, I haven't been on a road trip because I don't have a van. I have a Mini Cooper. So, you know, I don't have all the, I don't carry my own toilet. I don't. And I'll tell you that your group is going to laugh. Part of the reason why I don't road trip, where am I going to pee? Where am I going to pee? Like the restrooms are not open.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. And then I was going to say, I think everything being closed though, and everybody not being able to do stuff for so long, I think we're going to see a big renaissance of people going out to eat, going out to movies, going out to concerts and all that stuff, because now they realize that everything can be taken away from you at any time. So you better enjoy life while you're still living. And so I think in marketing for you, that's going to end up well too, because there's going to be a lot of events to market.
Yes, there are lots of events and lots of businesses. You know, if anything, the beauty of COVID made people who were on the fence about, oh, is this social media marketing real? You know, the younger generations, they obviously, the millennials, the Gen Zs, they live on social media. You know, you can't pry the phone away from their fingers, right? But the baby boomers, they were still like, that's social media. Even as recently as February of 2020, I'm teaching a class and people are like, I just don't like Facebook that much. I'm not spending much time on it. Then COVID hit and everyone's like, yeah, I got nothing else to do. I'm going to scroll through the phone, right? Yeah. So it really is important to make sure that if you own a business, or if you are the salesperson for your business, the marketer for your business, even if you just interface with clients, which is pretty much everybody, right? Not many people have a job where they're isolated and they're just in the back office. But if you interface with clients, you really need to make sure that you create a positive, wonderful, warm, welcoming experience for them, because that is what's going to create raving fans who are going to tell the world about you. And that is going to be what helps you succeed and just survive, because, you know, it's all reputation, right? Obviously you've got, look at this group of people who love you. Look at this. They are just so, look at all these people. And it's because you never gave up and you bring joy to them. And that's a wonderful thing, Bob. You are an amazing human being.
And it's from coming from somebody that's, and I appreciate you saying that. And I believe that. But for the longest time, because of just my background and everything, it's hard to believe that. And so that's kind of what I want to tell people. Like, if you're struggling with accepting comments and accepting stuff like that, you're not alone, because I've been there, and so if you enjoy my show, just know that there's been times when um, I haven't always felt that way. And then when we're talking, we talked earlier about what the why is, and you write in the book that the why is the secret sauce. So
Yes.
why you do something is the secret sauce. And so, what are some of your favorite? Because I read a few of them. What are some of your favorite whys that you ran into business owners doing things that you really enjoy sharing with other people, of why that's the secret sauce?
Oh, that's such a great thing. Okay, so let's talk about the why a little bit. If you go and watch Simon Sinek's TED Talk, Simon Simon Sinek Sinek. Simon Sinek,
Okay.
he's just an amazing thought leader. Your audience is going to love him. He, he's really talked about what is your why. He has several books. He's just Google him, YouTube him. He's amazing. So pretty much in his TED Talk, he was talking about Apple, and he was explaining how Apple was different from all the other computer companies, because all the regular typical forms of marketing is, let's talk about our features and benefits, features and benefits, features and benefits, right? But what made Apple so unique, Steve Jobs started with the why. He's like, well, we think differently. And because we think differently, we decided to create something that would surprise and delight people. Would you like to buy one of our computers? It was a complete opposite approach to marketing. And so when I'm talking with my clients, I ask them, okay, what makes you special and unique? Who do you serve? What is your why? And what's so fascinating is all of my clients, all of them, they tell me approximately the same thing in the first 45 minutes of our interview. Well, we're honest. We're with integrity. We have a lot of really great values, and that's cool. But then after they've been talking with me and my squad for a while, and they're more relaxed, and then they start realizing, well, my why really is serving my church. And I really love to go on these missions. Like I'm thinking of Andy Emery of Antero Automotive that you were mentioning earlier. He's in Colorado, and he loves his church, and he loves. There's a program that he participates in where Christmas gifts are brought to the kids who have parents that are incarcerated. And
That's amazing.
yeah, and then there's like another program where monies go to supplying water to communities that are not tied into the infrastructure, and they have to go and gather water. So his church is just doing some amazing stuff, and he knows that when he's an auto repair shop owner. He knows that he is making the world a little bit better, one auto repair at a time, because when he answers his calling of serving the greater good and helping the church with his why, like being a successful business person and taking some of that money in his time and donating, he's fulfilling his God's purpose, right? And then when he fixes somebody's car, and just like you did when you were helping with tires and lube changes and such, when you deliver your talents and you say, here's your car, it's safe now, you can go drive, that person who owns the car can now go out in the world and make the world a better place, because now they have transportation to go do what they naturally do, right? And it's what we're doing by answering our why. It may not seem significant, but as we can see from these wonderful followers of yours, you're making the world a better place by sharing your talents and gifts, and then you're inspiring them. Then they can go out, and those people that they touch can go out, and it just is this beautiful ripple effect. And guess what? This is the best part, Bob. These little ripples that we create, they come back as waves of abundance. And it's so beautiful, right? Because look at how you are touching people in Russia and across the United States and places you probably have never even known about. Isn't that cool?
Yeah.
I just love it.
That is cool. And one of the gentlemen I talked to, he's from Greece, and I talked to another lady that's in the Philippines, and so it's cool just to be able to talk to people all over the world. And I don't know if you've gotten to travel all over the world, but you talk about in the book the power of relationships, and you kind of talked about that there, just having a network of people that you're to meet, that you kind of I don't know any other term to say it, but kind of like we're a fangirled out that through the network that you got to meet and talk to.
Yeah, it's really cool when you okay, there are four currencies. There are four currencies. There's money, which we're so accustomed to. There's time, there's knowledge, and there's relationships. Well, in my book, I like to say that, money is the thing that we talk about a lot, right? And time is something that we often take for granted. But COVID changed that, didn't it? And then knowledge is our willingness to study. But it's the relationships, in my opinion, that are the most important currency out of the four. Because when the money isn't coming, when you don't have time, when you're lacking knowledge, it's the relationships that pull you through, right? And so the whole idea is like your van conversion. How cool is that? Like all of your adventures, all the things that you're doing. I love watching that because I get to learn from you. And because I'm learning from you, even though like we're now talking, but I don't know how many people in your channel have actually specifically like talked with you and had a conversation, but don't you feel connected? Because it's like, wow, I really like this guy. He's amazing. Look at this knowledge that he's sharing, right? And that's the same thing that we do in business and whatever we do in life, when we share and we give and we build those relationships, when things are just crap, someone's dying, someone's sick, we're going through a divorce, we're going through a pandemic, when things are crap, it's the relationships that pull us through. And that's what I talked about in this book, because I had to live the give to get principle before I could even write this book. Here's a funny little tidbit. Did you know that I wrote this book in 42 days?
No, I did not know that. I did not know that.
Yeah. So here's what happened. I've been sitting on this book in my head for like 3 years because I've been interviewing hundreds and hundreds of auto repair shops for all these years, right? 11 years now. And I knew I needed to do it. But what was cool was the pandemic happened, and like March is happening of 2020. Everyone's panicking like, oh my God. I lost a few clients because they're like, Jen, I love you. I hate to leave you, but I've got people to feed and I don't know what the future is. I'm like, it's okay. I love you. You'll come back when you're ready. And for those that stayed with me, I was like, look, we're all in this together, and together we're stronger. We're going to pool our resources and we're just going to get through this. And if you need something from me, I'm going to do it. And I'm not going to do any extra charging for it. I'm just going to give it to you. And everyone knew that I had their back. And like when Andy came with a really great email, I said, Andy, can I share this with all of my other clients? Yes. When Bob came with something and he's like, hey, this is something I'm going to send out to my clients, I'm like, can I share this with my clients? Great. And I talk about how we all pooled our resources together. And Bob, it was our relationships that got us through. And here's the other really cool part. I told my clients, call your customers. Don't try to sell them anything. Just call them and check on them to see if they're okay. And is there anything that they need? Who does that, right? The doctor might do that after you've had an appointment.
Maybe.
Does your auto repair shop call you to check in on you to see if you're okay? No, but the one that does, you remember that forever, don't you? Yeah. So it's all relationships.
Yeah. And I've been surprised at because I'll do the reviews on like Google or whatever for businesses and stuff like that, and I got over 21,000 views of different reviews that I've done, and I left one for a Midas that was close by because they gave me a good, they gave me an experience there, and the business owner replied back and said thank you for doing that, and so now that he responded back, just something like that, to say thank you for leaving me a review. That's like, okay, well, I'm going to go to you anytime that I need something repaired, because you at least took the time to respond back to a review that I left. It was a good review because they did good work, but it's those little things like you're talking about, just answering. And I want to go into it, but I like to keep them about 40-45 minutes, and we're about 40 minutes right now. No, it's fine. It's fine, because there's a lot more I want to talk to you about, so I want to have you back again. But I wanted to kind of tell people that you don't just do auto repair stuff, and you say your secret weapon is the SEO, the search engine optimization. So if anybody here, if they want their channel to grow and do better and stuff like that, you offer services for that, and they can go to Rockstar Marketing, which I got it scrolling across the bottom of the screen there. It goes to the About Us page, but that way you can learn a little bit more. But go there and check you out. And is there anybody that you haven't worked with yet that you think would be cool to work with as far as marketing goes?
Oh, thank you for asking. So yes, I have laser focused on auto repair for the last 5 years, but it doesn't mean that we haven't worked for other industries. In fact, now that we're over the hump and we're now in 2021, we're in growth mode. So now we're actually getting really targeted and laser focused on the construction industry, the legal industry, health and dental industry, med spas, and childcare development centers. So people might be like, what's all that? Well, see, I read this really great book called The Pumpkin Plan. And it says, if you really want to be super successful and dominate, you need to find a laser niche, like laser in on one niche, and then rise to the top of that. Well, guess what? We are the top content marketing agency serving the auto repair industry throughout the entire country. We're number one. So now it's like, okay, cool. So construction, because I actually come from a family that does construction, electrical contracting, builders, plumbers, that kind of thing. So construction, I love the trades. I love celebrating small businesses that work hard and put their love and their blood and sweat and tears into it, because they need to be heard and they need to have some help being heard amongst, in competing with the big competitors, the big shops, right? So that's what I do. I help small businesses, and anybody that wants to ask me questions, I am so happy to share information. I teach marketing classes all the time. If there's anything that I can do for you or any of your people, I am more than happy to assist.
Well, awesome. I'm sure some people will be reaching out to you, and I know I'll be reaching out to you, because I got some bigger plans in the future. So it's good to know that you got some construction people in your family. And one of the thing that I like to say, and I came up with it before I had a definition for it, and I put out a video with the definition for it. But I say, stop waiting for life to happen and make life happen. And as we've talked here, you can kind of see through doing your book and doing your marketing and even your music, you made life happen for yourself. And so that's when I get my saying, and I try to put that out there to people. That's why I say that you can either exist and just go back and forth to work or whatever you're doing and just exist, or you can try to make a life happen that you dream of, because it's part of it's figuring out what you want, and then the other part is actually trying to make it happen. So that's what I got to say for that. And is there anything else that you want to say to people?
Oh my gosh, I've so enjoyed you. I would love to come back and hang out with you some more. And I want you on my show, Connecting with Jennifer Filzen. We'll have fun. Everybody, thank you so much for listening. If you need to get a hold of me, you're welcome to do so. You can find my book, The Give to Get Principle by Jennifer Filzen, on Amazon. You're welcome to also, a lot of times people you have it scrolling across the bottom, rock-star-mktg.com. I'm so glad you do that, because when I have to spell it out, people are like, what? But if you also want to just look at everything that I create, go to jenniferfilzen.com. You'll see my dance videos. My husband and I teach West Coast swing, so we love to dance when it's not COVID. You'll get to see our Marriage Plus Business podcast. My husband and I do that together because we love each other and we work together and we still like each other at the end. And how do we do it?
Wow, that's amazing. There right? You go. If you want a marriage podcast, listen to that one, because if you can do all that together, then that's a strong marriage right there.
Right? Hey, I had to have the starter marriage to appreciate the permanent marriage, right? The happy marriage.
Hey,
but no,
that makes me even happier to know that now, because I had one of those when I got married right out of high school to a high school sweetheart. But yeah, we can talk about all that when I come on there. But
right on. But truly, everybody, I'm just so excited to make new friends, and thank you for being my friend, and thank you for helping. Like, I'm seeing these things. Linda, thank you for coming from Bob's channel. I see that you subscribed. Oh my gosh, you guys are adorable. I appreciate you so much.
They're really awesome people, though, and they don't just subscribe. They'll go over there and watch. If they subscribe to you, they'll be watching you. So I'm going to play the credits. Stick me for a minute, and I'll talk with you after they're done playing. And everybody else, like I said, stop waiting for life to happen and make it happen. And you'll see mine happen right here in front of your faces in the camera. So play the credits, and we'll be back in the next episode.